student who traveled to Germany, about your background, and tell us about your experience in studying in Germany and how you ended up coming to the University of Europe for Applied Sciences. So it's off to you.
Of course. Hi, everybody. That's a lot of Korean thing. That's a beautiful language. I have to be honest. I feel like I already feel this kind of a power behind the language itself. So hi, I'm sorry. Well, I'm Feng Lingyun. Basically, my friends just call me Lin. I will type it in our public channel so that to make myself more there. Here we go. So yeah. I'm right now at my 6th semester at UE, and my study program is business management in English. And yeah, I came to Germany when I was just 14, I would say, because I went through a more tough way to say, because I just finished my secondary school in China and then directly entered this German public high school. And back then, well, it's kind of hard to actually, fit in the German small town vibe. But then I kind of managed it, and I got my Abitur. Oh, wait a sec. Let me share my screen firstly to present it more with bullet points so that make it more clear to you guys. All right. I suppose you can also see my screen, right?
Yeah, we see your screen now.
Okay, let's just skip to the first one. Yeah, exactly. Where were I? Yeah, brief introduction of myself. So basically, yeah, I I look pretty much as in the picture, do I? As I was saying, I got my Abitur in this high school, the public high school called Gymnasium Hohenschwangau, and that was in Bayern. And I got a little bit fed up with this small town vibe, and I decided to move myself to a bigger city, which is Berlin. That's how I decided to study at Humboldt University. And back then, I was really fascinated by this subject called precision agriculture. So basically about how the agriculture are gonna look like in our future. How people are gonna grow vegetables on the rooftop and actually use the space of city and all that. I was really into that. So I decided to study that. And the reason why I chose Humboldt University was firstly because, well, because I got my Abitur, and as they were all saying, that public university in Germany are very easy to enter, but not that easy to actually graduate. So that was the case. But then I didn't really know that because what I feel like is just super easy to apply. They don't even require that kind of high score of my Abiturzeugnis. So basically, yeah, I just started my study there. And
Ling, if you don't mind me asking, like you say it was easy for you to apply because you were already in Germany. You didn't. Was it a different process than UniAssist, or you actually used UniAssist to apply to a public university?
Did I use what? The Abiturzeugnis, you mean?
No, the UniAssist. Do you know what UniAssist is?
Not really. What is it?
Okay, since then it means you didn't use it. So because for international students, it's a different process. Anyways, yeah, going back to your story.
Okay, yeah. Basically, I could show you guys later on, for example, the Humboldt University's official website, that you could say that most of the subjects there do not require any Abitur score. But then as long as you have this kind of certificate as you graduated from a German high school, then you're good to go. Mm-hmm. So basically I studied there for 6 semesters. I was really hanging up there. I mean, like I have to reach B2 level before I even enter German high school. So I don't feel like I have much burden when it comes to German language. But then the feeling of not fitting in is still there. And especially I feel like it's just really not my thing. And it felt different than how I expected. I mean, the Humboldt University, yeah, it has like a thing, right? It's very famous. It has this kind of, well-known also in China. But then what you actually felt there, I could only say for myself. But then what I actually felt there was really mm, mm, somehow not connected. And I will tell you guys later how come it's kind of different. But then, yeah, so I decided to make the big choice of my life and actually change to UE and kept on studying business management. So basically, how I found a University of Europe, Applied Sciences Europe, was that I Googled it by myself. And they were doing pretty nice job, and it's very compelling. On the website, it says everything. It described me how awesome the program is, and how do I actually get the chance to actually settle down in Germany by having a really nice job right after graduation. And I was attracted, and so I just applied with my aptitude likeness and also my study experience in Humboldt University, and I just studied my bachelor program at UE. And
Okay.
right now, yeah, it's a little bit long. It's not a brief introduction, but very much in details. I hope you guys enjoy it. Yeah, and during my study, actually right now, I'm also tutoring courses, the finance investment. And well, I kind of, for example, being here talking to you guys means that I kind of represent UE as a student ambassador. And well, that I'm not the only one, I would say. But yeah, I'm really happy with sharing with you guys. And at the meanwhile, my main job is as a part-time junior consultant in a startup that's based in Berlin. So basically, it's a consultancy company I'm working at. And because of that, I'm going to graduate this semester, so I'm still a student, which means I cannot get access to the full-time right now, but then I'm hoping to get a full-time contract right after my graduation. All right. So basically what I want to share with you guys is, first of all, why did I choose Germany to study? Because back then I did actually have a lot of choices. For example, Australia, because my dad graduated there. And yeah, he got a little bit connection the United States as well. But my mom didn't really agree with it, because America and all this kind of political issue that the whole society is really not that safe, that people are allowed to bring weapons. I think that's a very vivid example. And of course, well, we learned a lot about why German higher education was really good, because why, how do I say it? Why is really like good quality kind of higher education in Germany? Well, basically, because first of all, not a lot of people know about Germany. Not a lot of people know about German higher education compared with these popular countries such as Australia, Canada, and all, because it's basically less commercialized. Well, because the quality of German university are pretty much at the same level. You really can't say which one is really good and that one is just nothing. It's pretty much at equal quality. That's what I'm trying to point out here. And yeah, and if you really get to know people in Germany, you could literally see that people here are very knowledgeable. Even they didn't really have a degree or in any form of a degree, but then this kind of German people are really urged to learn things, and you can see that they're just low-key knowledgeable. That's why what I'm saying here. And well, yeah, that's one point. And then another one is the inclusive culture. It's really kind of different than how I expected before I actually came here, especially in Berlin. Well, I studied at our campus in Berlin, and especially people in Berlin here are very friendly. They're very open-minded, and you find it really easy just by knowing English alone. You could easily get yourself a job and having a lot of friends. and people here are very tolerant, I would say, and you could find yourself a lot of different social groups. That's kind of different. I mean, based on my experience as a Chinese.
Which is very important that it was easy for you to really, in a way, engage with other people, and the very fact that a lot of students who apply to UE are actually do not know or not well versed in Germany and in German. So the very fact that you yourself, you're saying that you found it very easy to build your life and your friendships and your social life in Germany.
That's really important.
It's pretty important.
Because when you actually decide for yourself that you want to study abroad, right? Just one part, and well, most importantly is the life itself, how you feel about living here. That's actually what matters the most, right? So yeah, you're being totally right about that. After I chose to study at UE, I got a lot more social lives and a lot more friends who are really talented as well. And I'm gonna share that with you later. But then let's move on to our third point here. Is the reason why I chose Germany is because of the work-life balance. I mean, this kind of unique concept and very valued here, especially in Germany. You get a lot of Urlaubs, big Urlaub, how do I call it? Well, this kind of vacation break that everybody, even as a student job, you have the right to get yourself a very fixed time of a vacation, and you have this insurance of a salary. Well, the minimum salary, hourly salary for a student in Germany was €9 an hour. That's actually pretty much compared with other countries, I would say. And you're safe. People here are not allowed to bring weapons, and the public area as their own private places. So they really took a lot of care of that. And the green coverage, especially in Berlin. This is a city built in forest, as they were saying. You could say that if you live here long enough. And yeah, that's just very impressive point as for me. And the public facility and health insurance and everything, I really feel like just very well managed, and you could actually feel the benefit of it. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to our next slide. So basically what I mentioned before, what's the difference between public university, the public Universität, and private applied sciences university? Because there are mainly two different university types, public as Humboldt and applied sciences university as our university right now here, University of Applied Sciences Europe. It's really hard to come up with a whole name because I'm already, get used to the UE. It's just simple like that. Okay. Once again, I could only talk based on my own experience. So I could only talk for myself. So what I felt in public university, for example, and the major difference, the very big one point, very compelling out there, is a hard and software facilities. Because as a student, before Corona, of course, as a student at the university, right, you sit in the classroom and listen to the lecture. And in public university, that was kind of a torture because the Vorlesung, basically the long lecture, could happen 3 times a week and 4 hours a session. And within these 4 hours, you only got to sit in this kind of very big classroom with 100 students and with one professor reading after the lectures, reading after the slides. Because, well, it's really hard. It's really easy to understand, actually, because, a professor dealing with that much of students, there will be very limited time for yourself, for one person, and there were really lack of interactives, I would say. The size of, as I said here, the size of class is very big normally. And the equipment, you only got to sit, well, I remember when I was at a study at Humboldt, I only got to sit on this kind of wooden chair and all. It's very different from UE, I would say, because in UE it's just very small class size, right? And you only got 20 students maximum in one class, and professors actually took care of you and could actually notice you and answer your questions. Well, that is a very unique feeling, I would say, when you get to know the public university system in Germany. And also the subjects. I will show you here right now the subjects, for example, how it is different from the applied sciences university. So on our left-hand side is to say the subjects that are provided by Humboldt University. You could see there are, for example, mathematics, chemistry, biology, and area studies, and also like a lot of other language studies. So very big subjects and really not that specific. But then compare with the UE, the subjects that UE provide, for example, that I took a screenshot from our official website to say that we could get to learn game design, we get to learn film and motion design, we get to learn digital interaction design. And when it comes to business study, there are, for example, very cool stuff. I actually wanted to choose that before, the sport and event management at Alba Berlin. Sorry for that. So you could see that the subjects are designed differently. That's like a very big difference as well. And as I was saying, also the professors. Well, the professors in a public university are basically professors throughout their life. They really have very limited time to actually put themselves in how to call that, social activities, so that, well, they don't have that
academia
as, they don't have that many experience as our professors at university, applied sciences universities do. Some examples as, my personal experience. So basically, I'm gonna introduce you 3 professors that I know personally and kind of very familiar with as well. So basically, this is my professor, Thomas Kotola, if you can see my screen clearly. So he is my professor in a lot of subjects, in accounting, in cost accounting, in finance investment. And the reason why I got my job as a tutor was basically based on his recommendation as well. And you could see that he graduated, well, at least studied at Harvard University before. And he participated in a lot of, actual activities, businesses. For example, where I can see that, the Porsche, right? He's been the managing director of Porsche in Stuttgart, the car company, as you can see, and the Kraft Foods is very famous, a whole food chain in Germany, and as a consultant and all. And another example is our professor, my professor in Texas, Thomas Becker. So as you can see here as well, he is the Geschäftsführer Redakteur. That means, well, editor-in-chief, well, basically, very out there. And he's been there for 12 years. And then he's also been, you can see that he works in this company for 14 years as well. For data sciences. And you can imagine, if you really get to know these professors and get really good connections and know a lot of very useful stuff from them, then you really get a big shot to actually have a very promising career future. And also Professor Sven Maurice, as you can see here, is work for PwC. And I bet you definitely know that, especially our Asian. He's been there for 13 years and all, which is very impressive. Yeah, exactly. And let's move on to our the second biggest difference that I want to point out is the participation and flexibility. I mean, I kind of mentioned that before as well. I mean, I can only say for myself that, really depends on what you want, right? It's not important what others think are important. What is more important is what you think is most suitable for yourself. If you want to really study businesses and actually, you know, that's what I wanted. And for actually achieving that, for actually trying to, you know, have some actual business activities going on, I really need to be part of the society, be part of the, you know, this social network. And that is exactly what I got from UE. And I'm very satisfied with that. So that you could actually participate in a lot of projects, for example, in a lot of internships, in a lot of interactive with professors and your classmates. And that is actually very important because, you know, well, I know that this paper of graduation, the bachelor title is very important. But then think of yourself as a owner of a company. If you get to hire people, what kind of people do you want the most? Of course, those people who actually have experience, right? That actually did a lot of projects that they could use as a showcases. You know what I mean? So basically,
and also just to add something. Just to add something, because also, don't you think that when you are participating in these activities and these projects with like outside of your academics, let's say, or even something related to your academics, do you think you're also building connections that will later on help you in your career, or even help you with your finding a job later on, or even like you're a business student, so networking is like the number one aspect that makes you better than a person who's not maybe as socially active, let's say.
Exactly. You're very much on point. That's exactly what I want to say. Exactly. Yeah, if you really want to have a career, have a thing in the future, not just, you know, degree university, of course, you're going to get yourself involved earlier, sooner. The sooner, the better, right? And this is what I got from University of Applied Sciences as well, because there are a lot of I'm trying to bring up some examples to make it more interesting. For example, the workshop. Exactly. So I had this course called M&A, so merge and acquisitions, basically about merge and acquisition, merge another company or buy out another company, that kind of topic. Mm-hmm. So basically, during that course, our professor literally invited his friends, basically, or his relatives with that, who actually worked in buyout and who actually started his own business, his own company. Right now is a very mature company, a consultancy company. Our professor invited them over to do a workshop with us for a whole day long. And after that session, a couple of our students applied for the internship in their companies, and 2 of them succeed. And that was kind of example. And this is not the only case here. It's just I could remember such similar workshops as for 3 courses, I would say. But then, of course, not only that, of course, what is more important is the projects that you actually got the chance to work on. And I had to work on 6 projects in my last semester. And this really leveled up my resume, I would say. People really asked me a lot when I went for the interviews. And let me see what I still have here. The class discussion involvement, as you could imagine, a small class, right? 20 students maximum. Of course, you get a lot of chance to actually let the professor remember you. And after university activities, yeah, that is definitely much better than public universities. Even though I spent like 6 semesters in public one, I really didn't get a chance to know a lot of friends as as I knew here at UE. And well, exam and deadline, that was very crucial part, because when it comes to public university, you could imagine the system is very fixed and there will be no Ausnahme, no adjustment only for you. And if you pass the deadline of exam, then you're that. And you really don't get a chance to retake or that. I could go more details into that if you're interested. But then the time is running. let's move on to the career instruction, which is also like the most important reason why I got attracted by Applied Sciences University. So, so basically, what attracted me at the very first place is that normally Applied Sciences University, they do have this career center. I've heard a lot about it, but then not every universities did a very excellent job when not every Applied Sciences University's career center perform at the way that you expect. But in UE's case, I got a lot of personal benefits from our career center, and I really want to share that with you. So basically, as you can see, the Career Center guides students along their path from enrollment to employment and supports them with their internship and career plans. That is what it stands on the website. But then what I actually got from it, I'm gonna share with you guys with my own experiences. So basically, when you study business management, you have this kind of obligated internship. But then only 2, especially when a pandemic hit us, it's kind of hard for everybody to actually got a position. But then in my experience, I got 4 internships throughout my study. First is tutor, and as I said before, I got that recommended by my professors, because you got a chance to. And in public university, it's kind of hard to actually get a tutor. 20 students, only 200 students. Compared with 20 students, you a lot of hardness. And another one is the consultant Internet Sharp, which is the company that I'm working right now as a part-time consultancy. That was very interesting experience because I saw that in company's information on website one day, and I got very excited for the position, and I just LinkedIn it. Like I track the employees within that company down, and I found myself a girl who actually studied at UE as well, just 1-2 semesters higher than me. How do you call this kind of person?
A connection.
Yeah, connection, basically, yeah. And I started to send him a DM to her and ask her whether, hey, we studied at the same university.
And Sharp, it's the electronics company, right?
Not the Japanese one, but then the Berlin-based startup consultancy company. Yeah, okay, I know. Okay. I got confused at the first time as well. The Sharp, no. Yeah. So basically, we just got along with each other, and she recommended me to her manager, and I got accepted. That's very cool. And then the third one is a project-based internship, the Ghost Kitchen on the Way. So basically, this is a project. This is a startup company as well, but then I took that as a project-based internship. So that was basically a food delivery services, but then very organized and standardized one. And I got that idea from our social media management professor, because you could imagine such business rely very much on the social media management. And the reason why I came up with this idea, because I was obligated to write 10 pages thesis of this new business idea, which is based on social media management. And I literally put that idea into action with a couple of my other partners. And yeah, they were running pretty good actually right now in Berlin. You could actually Google that. It's called On the Way. That's really awesome. This is definitely one of my best experiences so far. And yeah, another one is the intern content manager in IF concept, which is a influencer incubator as well, which is also based on my social media management course. And basically use the same stuff to run manage other influencers on the platform and try to connect them with all these brands who are running their business on social media platforms. Yeah, that's basically. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention one thing. The most helpful part, I think, matters when it comes to Career Center is that you could actually get a lot of help from them. Well, the connection I was always keeping was with Romana. I don't know if you know her. Yeah, she's in
Romana.
charge of the Career Center, and she's you could just easily book an appointment through UE a website, and she will help you, or not just her. I mean, there are definitely a lot of other advisors. Well, they will help you to correct your CV, to practice your interview, or just to give you personal contact of the company that you want to apply for. And I got.
And it's free of charge, right? All of these services are free of charge.
No, this is free of charge. But then they're only exclusive to UE students, which is also a good part. And there is this a cooperation of our Career Center with this job teaser. So basically, this a job applying websites. So basically, they have this channel or certain positions that are only facing UE students as well. So the companies will actually consider UE students before other candidates. And that was very impressive in a way. And there's one more thing that I wanted to mention. Oh yeah, and we had a lot of, even during pandemic, we have a lot of digital career, job market. So basically,
career fairs.
Yeah, that one.
Career fairs. Yeah, they're called virtual career fairs.
Yeah. So basically, a lot of important people from big companies like BMW, from Tesla, and because I went for that, and all that, just gonna join us and introduce, let UE students get to know them, and really have the chance to develop this kind of connection with them. So yeah, we're pretty much reaching to the end right now. So a little quick wrap up. To whom would I recommend this form of applied sciences university? I will say, for example, a person like me who are really tired of German public university. You really don't see when you're gonna graduate. I mean, I passed all my subjects. I don't have failed, credit or whatever. It's just really, really frustrating, really hard. You don't have this kind of time to actually participate in internship or work or real social activities, but only university subjects, and kind of really depends on yourself, because the professors normally just reading off these slides, and if you really want to pass exam in public university, you really gotta sit at home and stare at your own PC screen for hours, basically. Yeah. And second, higher education in Germany, but prefer English. And this is very, also like one of the reasons why I chose UE to study, because UE actually provides English courses, which is very favorable, since my subject is business, right? I mean, who study business in other language than English? I'm just kidding. Yeah, and the third point is that a third group of people that I would recommend is to those who seek more practical based learning programs rather than this super theoretical research direction. I mean, that really depends on what do you want, what kind of person do you see yourself as, right? If you see yourself more as a researcher, and you really prefer to stay alone and really dive deep into one subject, then of course I will definitely recommend you a public university, because you really have this kind of equipment and how do you call that again? This brain pool. That's definitely not the word. But then you do have a lot of things that you need if you really want to develop yourself into a researcher in public university. But then if you are looking for some more practical based learning program, then I would definitely recommend you Applied Sciences University. And last is to those who are future oriented and adventurous. young professionals is also entrepreneurial spirit, because you can see that if you really choose to study at applied sciences university, you don't only have students who just graduated from high school. I mean, you get to know a lot of people who already have a job, and a pretty good job, who just who just choose to proceed with bachelor program because they want to, go to a higher step of, go further or climb higher in their career path. It's really hard to describe what I'm actually feeling right now. But then you get to know a lot of people who actually have certain experiences, and that could be part of your social network as well. It's just a big plus, I would say. So,
okay, well, then I do have a few questions for you. That I think they're very important questions, since we
It's
only
actually
have 5 minutes.
the questions are all from me. I would
Okay.
rather encourage Korean people to come up with your questions if you have any, and I will translate it into English. So feel free. This is one rare chance to get to hear the first-hand experience, and thank you so much about that. But in the meantime, we can go ahead with my questions.
Yeah.
So,
All right, I think they're very popular questions. So like even people from my region, maybe they're not active, but I'm going to be sharing information from your webinar. Anyways, let's go into the questions. I wanted to know more about like if there's any sort of racial discrimination, because in other places in the world, not to mention in names, we are seeing and hearing a lot about racial discrimination. But how do you think the situation is in Germany and in Berlin?
Discrimination is everywhere, but then in Berlin, as I said, well, it really depends on with what to compare with. And I will say, based on my experience, Berlin is very tolerant. It's very, as I mentioned before, inclusive culture, because this is actually a city. I could only present Berlin, I would say, in Hamburg, in other big cities in Germany as well, I would say, so that they are really internationalized. That you could see, you could get to know, people from so many different races and from so many different international backgrounds, and people who are actually with international backgrounds, they're very tolerant because they know how it feels to, be a person who has international background. I would say it's pretty tolerant. I don't feel any discrimination at all. I mean, you could always run into a very terrible person, but then it's definitely not.
Yeah, that happens everywhere, as you said in the world. But the fact that they're, let's say, more tolerant than other places is important. Now, another question that I want to also address is why do German students, like maybe students that you were studying with at high school or even at your public university, why would they choose a private university over a private, which is relatively way more affordable, and decide to go to a private university that is more expensive? Why would they choose a private university that is more expensive than going to a public university?
Well, because first of all, it's really not that it's not less expensive to actually study at public university, because the failure rate or the postponed graduation rate is pretty high, which means you're gonna spend more time living in Germany, and the life expenses is big cost. And but if you really choose to study at private university, yes, there will be higher fee, but then you graduate also sooner, and you get a well-paid job as well sooner, which is a big compensate, I will say, right?
Mm-hmm.
So actually,
yeah. So would you say that so there's no prejudice against those people who graduate from private universities in German society? Because this is a question that I've heard often. Like,
well, I mean, I've never heard of it. Like, this is just different choices, because as I said, people, for German, as for me as well, I mean, people who actually choose to study at public universities are those who really see themselves as a researcher, or see themselves as, a student who, or a person who actually want to proceed study, but not involved in practical businesses, for example, or, and people who actually apply for applied sciences university are those who want to build a career sooner and want to get involved in society sooner, as well as build their own businesses sooner. Because they do actually, this is the mainly difference of public and private one. It's just different choices based on what you see yourself as a person, not favorable or not. I mean, there is no, how to call that, bias or prejudice on that. I mean, at least probably people in Asia will observe it differently, I would say, but then definitely not in Germany.
Okay, so is there any other questions you came across? Okay, here's another question. What is, or how would you describe UE's reputation in Berlin? Like in general, when you're maybe talking to people or talking to companies, when you tell them you're coming or you're studying at UE, how would their reaction be?
Well, based on my experience, I got my internship because my I get to know this connection, this girl who actually also studied at UE. And when I try to apply for other job positions, I could see that a lot of employees in this and that companies are actually studied at UE before, either bachelor or master. But then this is basically from my perspective. So I will say it is pretty well known, but then people here really don't ask around about, hey, you study at this university, hey, you're awesome. As I said, the higher education in Germany pretty much the same quality. It's just if you really try to, if you really want to go to applied sciences, because you know it's your only your personal preference. That's nothing to do with reputation or not, because you know German higher education itself is big reputation, I would say. Yeah,
I see.
They don't
well,
really.
Well, it's been an hour, and is there any other questions, maybe last minute questions, anybody who would like to ask us before we wrap this up? We want to thank Lynn because she shared very comprehensive information. Like she went into details, and thank you also for reflecting your personal experience, because this is actually what we wanted to get out of this. Because we as university representatives, we tell students about what we hear from our students, but when they hear it straight from a student, it always has a different flavor to it. And it comes across as more genuine because it is your own personal experience. So I want to thank you again, Lynn. I hope to again maybe organize something with you. I hope next time we get more students from other places in the world, because now it's like the peak time when students are really finalizing their decisions about where to go, where to travel, what to do with the rest of their, I don't want to say rest of their lives, but let's say for the next 3-4 years, let's say. So have a lovely day. And Sue, anything else? Yeah.
혹시 질문 있으신 분 계세요? 네, 없으시면은 저희가 이제 곧 끝낼 예정이고요. 다른 궁금하신 점 있으시면은 저한테 연락해 주시면 될 것 같고요. So thank you, Lynn, and I would actually point out that it was really nice to have actually found you on LinkedIn. I actually found you on LinkedIn first before I reached out to you, and you were referred to me by our coworkers. And I was really impressed by seeing your work experience, and I was very glad that you joined us here. And as you know, that people are having more interest in applying and studying at applied sciences, like university type of applied sciences, as well as private universities. Even after the COVID-19, people are asking more chance to study in English, right? So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting me. That's the way to work, try to look for people on LinkedIn. That's how I found my internship, that's all. Yeah.
Well, again, okay, let's wrap this up and thank you again. And maybe we'll talk later. Have a nice day, all of you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. 현우 이제 맘마 먹자.
아유.